Hello, people of the internet. Today I'll be reviewing Batman. This is part one of a three-part series where I'll be reviewing every Batman movie that has ever been made. This first part will be about the first four Batman movies: Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. The second part will be about the Dark Knight trilogy, so that'll be Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, and the third part will be about Joker and The Batman, which I'm excited to be reviewing because I'm going to watch it on my birthday, because that's my birthday present, is to watch the new Batman movie. And I'm also excited for that one because Riddler's probably going to be the villain. But yeah, so my thoughts on the first Batman movie are that it's pretty much just like, I don't know, it's really good. I think one of the only negatives is that Batman doesn't have his no killing rule, which, I mean, him not having it isn't automatically a bad thing. It's just kind of a bad thing. Like, it takes away a lot of the depth in his character. You really have to do what Flashpoint did or something similar to make it mean something. Or what the movies ended up doing, which is actually very interesting. Basically, he doesn't have a no killing rule, so he kills people, but he does not like Flashpoint Batman where he just kills everyone he fights, though he does not kill everyone. He just kills, like, he kills people, but not a crap ton of people. He just kind of kills when he ends up killing it. Michael Keaton as Batman was pretty good. I think the only flaw was that he doesn't have his no killing rule. So Michael Keaton as Batman, he did a pretty good job. Tim Burton did a pretty good job with the directing. Who's the other guy? Oh, Jack Nicholson. He's my favorite Joker, actually. I think his Joker is the way Joker should be: funny and intimidating, as opposed to just one or the other. Of course, what they end up being, whether they're funny and intimidating, or just funny, that depends more on the writer. So Heath Ledger did a good job with what his Joker was written to be, and Cesar Romero did a good job with what his Joker was written to be. You know? It's just that the way Jack Nicholson's Joker was written is the way I think the Joker should be written. And him as the Joker, Jack Nicholson, he did a great job. Another flaw, though, is that they gave the Joker a origin. Although it's not an origin, it's pretty much just like an explanation to why he's the Joker, and an explanation to who killed Batman's parents, but also that it was the Joker, which, I mean, giving the Joker that personal connection to Batman does help a bit. Like, the idea is, it's like, it does make, if he had the no killing rule, it does make it even more interesting, because that's something the Joker can use to taunt him, and that's something Batman would have a hard time dealing with, not killing the person who killed his parents because of his own moral code. But because he doesn't have the no killing rule, he just ends up killing the Joker. Yeah. And that's fine to have for Batman to not have a no killing rule. Just as long as it's handled well, which it was handled okay here, and it was handled pretty good in other times that I've seen it. I think, like, It's just that, like, Batman in those other times may not have been handled well, which is specifically the DCEU. He wasn't handled very well in the DCEU, but I did like the idea that he had a no killing rule that he just decided not to follow because as he got older, he just lost, he just kind of became depressed, and so depressed to the point where he stopped caring about the people he was fighting. He just killed people, which is interesting, but I think it has less potential than what the original 4 Batman movies did. The second film, Batman Returns. Oh, actually, one thing I should bring up is that in his, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but all the love interests, because I think there's a new love interest in pretty much every film. The only one that doesn't have one is Batman and Robin, which is fine. Well, I mean, Batman and Robin does have 2 love interests, but there's a new love interest for Bruce in every film, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. That's a good, I guess, a good representation of his character, since he's this rich guy. Obviously, he's going to be able to talk to, like, a bunch of people and meet a bunch of people, and he is going to have it go through quite a few breakups because he has the ability to go anywhere in the world. So that means that he'll meet tons of people, and that means he'll go through multiple relationships, and that also means he might get arrogant, and that might be one of the problems that women might have with him or something. I don't know. You know. But yeah, I like that he doesn't have a consistent love interest. But him having one is also works. Him having one that's just his love interest for the entirety works. But the thing is you can't do that and then turn around like The Dark Knight Rises tried to do. It didn't work. Where The Dark Knight, the first 2 films in the trilogy had him dating this woman named Rachel, and then she, in the second film, which means she couldn't be in the third film. She also changed actors in between the first and second film, and I'm just gonna say it at that time because that wasn't even a spoiler. That was just me saying it, as opposed to hinting at what I was spoiling. Like I did with the other one. Yeah. Then they just added Catwoman into the third film, which I think was such a stupid move that I don't even know why they did it. Because it's like, with Catwoman, you gotta have them have a relationship, like, gain a relationship over time. And, like, the thing is it seemed like he actually liked Rachel. So, like, why would he suddenly just get a new love interest? And Catwoman wasn't a likable character. But yeah, I'm gonna stop myself there because that's for the review of the Dark Knight trilogy, and yeah, that's for the review of the Dark Knight trilogy. So if I continue talking about the Dark Knight trilogy, then I'm just gonna make it where the second part is completely useless. Yeah, so I talked about Batman. So yeah, Batman Returns. Penguin was pretty cool. I think this is like the only version of Penguin where he has like a backstory. I'm pretty sure most versions of Penguin are just like Bruce Wayne, except Penguin is behind his parents' death so he could get the money and then take over. And then he hates Batman because he's stopping him from committing crimes, and he hates Bruce because he's a rival because they both own companies and he wants to just own everything. Yeah. He yeah, Penguin. The difference though is Penguin is now part Penguin, kind of. He was abandoned by his parents, and he was raised by penguins in the sewers, which is kind of weird. Why are there penguins in the sewers? I think they would have probably died a long time ago because penguins live in the South Pole. Or is it the North? I think it's the South. Either way, they live in an extremely cold environment, so cold, in fact, that no other life can live there without some sort of assistance. Um, yeah. So, but that's part of the suspension of disbelief. You just have to kind of believe that that's how it works, is that penguins can just live anywhere, or that the sewers are somehow cold enough. Not cold enough to kill him, to kill the penguin, even though, like, they're cold enough to keep those penguins alive. But yeah, penguin fell down, and I assume he was abandoned because of his disabilities. Either that or he gained them from being raised, which I think he was abandoned because of his disabilities. His disabilities being that 3 of his fingers are, or like that that his fingers are fused together, so they're more like flippers than hands. He gets thrown into the sewers by his parents, or yeah, well, actually, he gets like thrown into a river, I think, and then he just falls into the sewers because the river is connected to the sewers, something like that. But yeah, he eventually gets out of the sewers and does research, and finds out his backstory, that he is a Cobblepot. He gets elected mayor of Gotham. It's weird. He gets elected, but not really. Like, he gets surprise elected mayor of Gotham, like, out of nowhere. They just give him the position without even, like, talking to him about it first. Like, that's not a very smart decision. Someone who just entered society, you give him a bit, well, I guess, you give him a bit of political power you give him a ton of political power over the city, and a bunch of responsibility over the city, instantly. How stupid is that? Very stupid. Very, very stupid. So, yeah. He eventually, they basically talk to him, and this girl says she wants to, give him a makeover. He doesn't want a makeover. He likes the way he looks, which is fine. He's also, like, perverted. He's not just, like, physically disabled. He's also very perverted, which is kind of like, I kind of don't know how I feel about that. I kind of like it, like the idea that don't judge a book by its cover still is the message here. It's just, like, not the usual message, because most of the time people say don't judge a book by its cover. Just because someone's ugly doesn't mean they're bad or mean, or just because someone's beautiful doesn't mean they're nice. But some people might assume because someone's physically disabled they'll be nice, which is judging a book by its cover. So, doing the opposite of the usual subversion and going with some people's expectations but subverting others is still don't judge a book by its cover. It's just for the people who would think someone's nice because of a disability that they have. But yeah, it's. I just realized, like, half of my face has not been. Yes, I am a professional. No, I am not. You can tell because half of my face has not been in frame. Lay down just because my back is hurting. Let's see. Catwoman. Catwoman is another antagonist. She's also one of the love interests for Batman. Just, like, not as much of the love interest. Just, like, kind of the love interest. Yeah. Like she's not, like, that's not the point of her character like in the other films, and that is kind of her seduction is part of her character as well, which is how she gets both Bruce to, like, not want to fight her, and Penguin to want to join her. And yeah, I thought it was weird when she was resurrected by the cats, but I did like that explanation that it was that they gave her their 9 lives, which actually I like that idea. I just wish I got that explanation a bit earlier as opposed to just being like confused about like why what like as opposed to being confused about why and then getting the explanation. I would prefer like to get that explanation earlier, but that's just me. At least we get one at all. One small thing though is that all the love interests live and they're only ever mentioned. They're never like brought back in any way. Rachel or not Rachel. What's the name of the first girl? I don't remember her name. Uh Actually, can I still record and like look this up at the same time? Hopefully I can.